Yesterday, the new White House press secretary, Carolyn Leavitt, gave her very first press conference where she announced that they're adding extra seats to the briefing room. Take a look.
It's essential to our team that we share President Trump's message everywhere and adapt this White House to the new media landscape in 2025. This White House believes strongly in the First Amendment, so it's why our team will work diligently to restore the press passes of the 440 journalists whose passes were wrongly revoked by the previous administration. We're also opening up this briefing room to new media voices who produce news-related content and whose outlet is not already represented by one of the seats in this room.
What an upgrade. She's got notes, but she's not reading it verbatim.
Yeah.
Like the other presenter.
We welcome independent journalists, podcasters, social media influencers, and content creators to apply for credentials to cover this White House.
Wow, that's unprecedented.
What mean you be some White House correspondents?
Man, I get in trouble. I ain't doing it. I would get in
This
trouble.
seat in the front of the room, which is usually occupied by the press secretary's staff, will be called the new media seat. My team will review the applications and give credentials to new media applicants who meet our criteria and pass United States Secret Service requirements to enter the White House complex.
Hey, this is progressive in a good way.
Right. Yeah. It's a great idea.
Like on the left, when they're progressive, it goes in the opposite. It goes in the, it's regressive. Like men can be women. Like this is progressive in a good way. Yeah.
All right.
Now they should agree to this, right? They should.
She basically said that they were going to give unqualified.
God, how boring!
Unqualified
Can they
people
get somebody there
jobs.
not so
Behind
tedious?
the Table podcast needs to apply for White House credentials.
Oh, they'd love having Joy in that room.
So I got a question. So wait a second. So in other words, instead of Bob Woodward, they want Kim Kardashian? What? I don't get it.
Wait, okay.
I have a question, which is why I was leading us in this direction.
Yeah.
I would like this young lady this is her first job, I would like her to do a little homework. Because she said something yesterday that really pissed me off. And that was, she said, there will be no wokeness here.
Oh, yeah.
Let me explain something to you. Because without that wokeness, you might not have that job.
Yeah.
Because
That's not being woke when you say women should not be treated as second-class citizens in this country.
Right.
It's common sense.
Right.
That's not being woke.
because women were not invited to that table. Women were not invited to many tables in this nation.
Wait a minute, maybe it's a good thing. Now look what you got to view. Hey, but I hate when people do this. They conflate the past with the present. That's no longer America. Yeah, that's not the America we live in. There's nothing you can do to change the past. This country is so much better than back then. Why are you still harping on things that happened in the past? This country is moving forward.
Reason we fought and busted our behinds to make sure that you didn't have to worry about this.
This is the same people think men can be women. Yeah. And men should be in women's sports. Yeah, and these are the same people that patronize podcasters coming on the show because they come off like elitists. They was so patronizing them. Yeah. That was so patronized for them to mock people that content creators. Exactly. But she's standing up for women's rights now while you're ridiculing a woman. Yeah. You're just coming off like an angry black woman. You coming off like a Democrat.
And now to hear you talk about it and to hear anybody talk about the wokeness was put in place for a reason, because black people couldn't get into colleges, because women could not get into the colleges they wanted to go to. This is all women. Yeah. See, this is not black, Asian women. This is all women. This
is a valid argument if Trump's like doing away with civil rights. He's bringing back slavery, but that's not the country we live in. Right. And that was to help black people. That wasn't to help all people. That was to help black people get into college. Y'all was using discrimination to help another group of people. Yeah, DEI with the DEI. Yeah, that's horrible. Yeah.
Women were not invited to this party. It was a man's world, and we busted our asses to make sure that this was a person's world. So please, Please stop using that phrase and talking about, because you don't understand what you're saying. You're saying about yourself that, you know, hey, that's a terrible thing to be. It's not a terrible thing to be. That's why we fought. That's what we were fighting for, so that you could stand in that podium, so that Catherine Jean-Pierre could stand at that podium. So women of all kinds of colors and ilks, wherever they came from, whatever their belief system was, they had the opportunity to bust down that door.
By the way, I think she's probably been put in there because, according to Donald Trump, she's a 10. You know that's what it is.
I want to be clear, though. It's not her first job. It was her first press briefing. She worked in the previous Trump administration.
Whatever I'm saying, this is the first time that she's been she may be, but my point is that job would not maybe have been open to her.
No, I understand. I just wanted to clarify that. But on the issue of the new media, because I actually think this is kind of brilliant, and I think future Democratic administrative White Houses should do the same thing. We're realizing this election, how people consume media has drastically changed. This was the Joe Rogan, Theo Vaughn, Alex Cooper election. It wasn't mainstream old school media that was driving people's interest in what they were following and the stories they were. And I think this is an acknowledgement that Trump realizes this. This is a person who made his career in television.
What's to prevent those media influences from being only on his side?
Well, there will be partisans, but I think it was promising that they brought in Axios, which is mainstream, but then they brought in Breitbart, which is a right-wing outlet. And so some of the outlets that had their passes revoked when Biden came in were right-of-center outlets. I don't have a problem with partisan outlets being there as long as it's representative of both sides and you have non-biased traditional media there as well, and that it's fact-driven how they cover it.
There's non-biased traditional media? I agree with everything she said, but what was that? What's the redhead's name?
Alyssa.
No, the redhead.
The redhead? Oh, Joy Behar.
Yeah, you didn't have a problem with this when it was all left-wing media in there.
Right.
But that's the problem. We introducing more right-leaning media.
Yeah, well, she did acknowledge that's a brilliant idea.
Yeah. She has
great ideas and opinions.
Yeah, she has great opinions. She's a Republican. They didn't vote for Trump because
I don't believe it. There's no in here she voted for Kamala.
I believe it. She's a woman.
The problem that I have with it, though, is, you know, she's saying that these people that are going to apply will meet their criteria. We understand that their criteria is woefully deficient and unserious. Right. I think that their real problem in this election, one of the real problems among the many, is the misinformation and disinformation that was disseminated on social media by these influencers and by these podcasters.
She actually thinks people take her serious.
Yeah. How many legal notes have you read on this show? You had to read several legal notes because y'all misspeak, you spread misinformation all the time. You lie about everything that comes out of your mouth. Your opinions you just shared. You said that this administration is not serious, it's dysfunctional.
Yeah, I mean, she's downplaying the credibility of these proposed new media outlets.
Right.
But she comes off like she thinks people take this show serious.
Yeah. And not to mention what Whoopi was talking about, she acts like Democrats are the only ones that represent equality. Y'all have a woke view on what equality is. On the right, we want the merit. It's based on your merits. We can care less about your race, your skin color, any of that. The Democrats want to give people jobs just because of the color of the skin.
Yeah,
that's wrong.
Just because of their sexuality.
Yeah, that's wrong. And I don't care how you twist it or gaslight people. That is absolutely using discrimination to help demographic of people is wrong. Whether it's white, black, it doesn't matter. It's just stupid.
Yeah.
Why are they qualified to sit in front in the White House briefing room and tell America what is going on with the country? Traditionally, to become a White House correspondent or to be in that briefing room, you had to have a journalism degree. Yeah. You had to have qualifications. Yeah. So I guess the rise of mediocrity is here to stay.
They're making Snapchat equivalent to the New York Times.
No, but you guys are minimizing something really important here. There was a time where there were 3 evening broadcasts for news. Yes. Everyone sat down around the TV and they watched these 3 news outlets. Now you look at where people consume news. 54% of American adults say they get news from social media. A large majority of U.S. adults, 86% say they get at least some of their information. If you don't want mis and disinformation, which is inevitable obviously, with this administration. But if you want to go directly to the source and have people receive it themselves and put it out to their audiences, I'd rather have them in that room. Influencers are not just the Kardashians. They're also the Brene Browns. You've got podcasts like Pod Saves America. There are people that only consume their news from other...
They show up.
And I do think that there are a lot of Americans who do feel like the mainstream media got a lot wrong in recent years. And while there are editorial standards, I don't think that we can definitively say, because you have this degree and you're with this outlet, you've never gotten news information wrong.
Well, I will say this. I feel a lot better when I know there are standards people have to meet.
Yeah. Of course.
And so you can bring in whoever you want.
Stop it. Y'all, Joe Biden picked Kamala Harris because she was black. He picked the Supreme Court justice because she was black. What's the press secretary? He used to read from a book. She didn't know what to say. John Pierre. He chose her because she was black and gay. What are you talking about? Their standards? What's the standard? You got to be black? You got to be gay? That's the standards y'all been pushing. That's the metric y'all use. Now you talking about standards? Yeah, you ladies are in the media. Do y'all have journalism degrees? Nope. I mean, what kept the people who have journalism degrees from spreading misinformation? Yeah. I mean, you know what it all boils down to? The journalist's integrity. Yeah. Their integrity. Yeah.
The proof will be in the pudding. We can stand and say, this is terrible, but so we're going to wait and see what happens. And the minute it turns out to be state-run television or state-run information or state-run news, because, you know,
you didn't have this problem when they shut down the Hunter Biden laptop story, when they pushed this story that Trump, the president of the United States, colluded with Russia to win the election. Right. I didn't hear y'all pushing back on that.
Yeah, we already have state-run media on the left and right.
Disagree that people got stuff wrong. I don't know what people were looking for, because the people I talked to, we're not looking for the things that these folks were looking for. And now that they've got him, are they getting what they want? So that's just my opinion.
But even on the media front, we haven't gotten to this real quickly this week. The CIA came out and said that COVID very likely came from a lab leak. And the New York Times shut down coverage of that. They wouldn't publish an op-ed by a senator from Arkansas, Tom Cotton, saying that this was a credential theory. At the time I was at DOD and that was openly discussed, is a very real possibility.
Confidence by the CIA.
There is a fact that the media at times has gotten things wrong.
Listen, it isn't about whether they get it wrong or right. It's what they do to correct it.
They didn't correct nothing. I know. That's why y'all had to read legal notes on your show all the time.
That does matter. Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I want.
But it also matters that the CIA said that it was a low confidence report, and that is why the New York Times, which has standards, didn't report on it.
But withholding the information altogether purely and saying that it's not even a considered theory was what the mistake was.
The mistake really is there's too much BS floating out there, and now it's out of our hands. There's no way to control it. So now they're saying they're going to control it. I want to see what they're going to do. They're not.
Well, there's a lot of BS on TV, and y'all are part of it.
Did you hear what she said? I'm going to see what y'all going to do. Did you hear Sunny hosting just now? Go back 5 seconds. Just 5 seconds. Listen what she says. Listen.
And now it's out of our hands. There's no way to control it. So now they're saying they're going to control it. I want to see what they're going to do. I want to see who they're going to invite into this. Because quite honestly, I like when we're held to standards. I don't always like the way they do it, but we have to have ourselves together. We can't just say stuff in spite.
We just can't say stuff. Y'all just say stuff all the time. No. Y'all's audience that watch your show has got to be the dumbest group of people in this country.
They got to be. You know why? Because you're watching some of the dumbest women on TV. I mean, your opinions, y'all probably, if y'all wasn't so biased and partisan with your opinions and y'all actually try to push your biases aside, maybe y'all could say something actually smart from time to time.
Well,
like Alyssa, she said she didn't vote for President Trump. She voted for Kamala. Yeah. I mean, how does she sound so smart and y'all sound so...
Well, like the left, for the most part, They're just contrarians.
Yeah.
Whatever Trump says, they're just going to do the exact opposite.
Right.
If Trump comes out and say oxygen is great for you, these four ladies will come on the show and put a plastic bag over themselves and suffocate themselves.
Oh, I see.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They're just being a contrarian. They're not after the truth. They're not after what's best for the country. They're after putting Democrats back in office by spreading misinformation, lies, innuendos, and just BS.
Yeah, like Biden's 4 years in office. Y'all never had any strong criticisms of the Biden administration like y'all have for Trump. Not one day did I listen to your show, you had any criticism for Joe Biden. Now that Trump's in office, y'all every day y'all got a new criticism.
Yeah.
You didn't have that same energy when Biden was in office.
Yeah, press secretary, the new one, her first appearance.
She was
y'all already talking about the new press secretary.
Yeah.
How much criticism did y'all have for the black gay woman?
Yeah,
None.
she was horrible what she did. She didn't answer questions.
Lied all the time.
And she relied on notes.
Well, she did have the toughest job in America. Lying for that administration?
Yeah.